Hey, this is Jack, and this video is called 5 Reasons That You're Still Single That Have Nothing to Do with Love. Hey, this is Jack. Welcome to my channel. If you're watching this and you're a woman who dates men, or you're interested in relating with men and you want some help working out if a guy is investing in a relationship or connection with you, just click the first link beneath this video. It's my He's Your Guy checklist. It's just 9 simple steps you can run any guy through. It takes less than 5 minutes and it will help bring you more clarity and objectivity about the connection that's in front of you. All right, let's get into today's video. So if you are still single and sometimes you wonder, why is that? What's going on? I want to give you 5 reasons that this may be happening. More accurately said, these are 5 directions of inquiry. Now that's a fancy phrase, but it basically means I'm putting 5 things into your reality in service of you being able to explore and inquire into them. You sitting with them, just allowing them to work on you through time and see if there may be some fruit in the inquiry. I'm not saying that all 5 apply to you or that any of these 5 apply to you. I'm saying I'm going to help you by putting some things in your reality that may be vectors of reality that you have not considered, and in so considering, you might find that you have more illumination about your particular situation. So let's get right into it. So the first reason that you could be single is that you've never accepted the gift of singleness, meaning you've never actually appreciated being single. You've always seen singleness as a problem to be solved. You've looked at singleness as something I need to get out of, something that's wrong. And I'm not saying that you don't have an authentic heart desire for connection and relationship. You absolutely may. And you can still appreciate what is good and healthy and appreciable about being single, right? This could include the freedom that being single allows. It could include the individuation that being single allows, right? The ability to really get closer to yourself and discern and discriminate what it is that you like and what it is that you don't like. One of the other gifts of being single is that you get to go on multiple dates, right? You get to enjoy different flavors of relating with men, if you relate with men or other people, whoever you relate with. And that's something that typically if you're in a relationship, you don't engage in that, right? You may also have more time and energy to focus on other things, right? Perhaps other connections, perhaps your friends, perhaps your family, perhaps an elderly person who may not be here in your life for too much longer. Perhaps it gives you the opportunity to travel. Perhaps it gives you the opportunity to do a side hustle. Perhaps it allows you to go to night school and get a degree, or it allows you to put more energy into a career and get a raise or promotion, or try a whole different type of career. So it's much easier in life if we can appreciate the things that we have whilst we still say yes to the things that we want. Right? And I'm not saying that's an easy maneuver. I'm saying that's a worthwhile maneuver, and that perhaps is the maneuver of you in your maturity, right? So you actually get to be in full appreciation or full acceptance of what is here in your life right now and see what is good about it, so that we're not only just pushing away our current life, we're embracing it as we build upon it. The second reason that you might still be single is that you have a kind of superstition, or a way of orienting to reality that we could call superstitious, right? And it would be something like, I'm being punished by life, by God, by someone by being kept single, right? And so maybe it keeps you in a reality that you pay attention to things that you've done wrong, perhaps mistakes you've made, maybe things that you've said, things that you've done, or that you would do differently. And somehow that keeps you in this mindset that life is punishing you, and the punishment is you being single, and so you don't get to have the thing that you want. Right now, it could be true that you have been punished in a real way by people in your past, in meaningful ways, perhaps in your upbringing, and that was part of a kind of an orientation to reality that got seared into your being and nervous system. So none of this is to discount actual punishment that you may have received, but the deeper punishment that keeps happening ongoing is that this has embedded itself into your inner critic, and a way of orienting to reality that's possibly preventing you from having the things that you really want. Right? Life isn't just a game of good and bad, right and wrong, and punishment, right? Maybe at a certain level of reality it is, but maybe if you're hanging around on a channel like this, you are interested in your authentic development. And a big part of your authentic development is relaxing your inner critic. And your inner critic is the one that keeps score and says, hey, good girl, hey, bad girl, hey, do more of this, hey, don't do more of that. It's useful in some limited instances to keep you safe, and it's useful to socialize you as a functioning member of society, but that happened long ago. You now in your life have an opportunity to relax some of that programming and to stop looking at life in such a linear way, right? As we progress as human beings, one of the traits of that progression is our ability to be with more nuance and to be with more complexity. You are a complex being and system, right? You're more than even just a system, but even just if we use the limitation of calling you a system, there is so much that's going on within you, right? All different lines of development: spiritual development, physical development, aesthetic development, social development. That's just talking about lines of development, right? You're a biological system, you have a nervous system, you have attachment patterns, you have intergenerational inheritance, you have epigenetics, you have all sorts of things that I know nothing about, right? You are an open-ended system that is open to evolution. So I'm pointing to this because the simple, I did this and now life is punishing me. I'm saying that you can actually relax that grip and evolve into a more self-compassionate and self-loving way of being with yourself. And the self-loving thing might be to say, it's hard to be with the disappointment that I feel having had the desire for a relationship for a long time and it not having arrived in my life, right? That I could actually, instead of being down on myself or thinking I'm being punished, I could actually turn towards my pain, my frustration, my disappointment, and be tender with myself. That's the maneuver here, right? That's the self-love maneuver, is slowing down and actually loving on yourself in this place that perhaps you have had a lot of frustration and disappointment, and it's been a hard part of your life because you've been single for a while and you've wanted something and life hasn't given it to you. So that's actually it's an opportunity for tenderness, not for self-criticism and not for thinking the universe is punishing you. The third reason that you could still be single is that in your dynamics with whoever you date, all right, I'm just going to suppose for a moment that you are a woman who dates men, that you lead with your friendliness and you don't ever connect in a way that brings forward the parts of you that are more sexual and romantic. Right, now this might be a little confusing because you might say, well, I love that I'm friendly. Don't guys want friendly women? Isn't friendliness a great thing? Friendliness is a great thing, right? It's a great thing to be able to draw upon, and perhaps it's a true and essential part of who you are, right? You like engaging with people, you like smiling, saying hello, making conversation, being friendly. I'm just doubling down on this because I've seen this pattern many times where your friendliness is a kind of persona, right? We might call it the friendly one, and you're unconsciously identified with it. So it's not that you're always choosing, is it authentic for me to lead with friendliness in this moment? It's almost like the friendliness has you. And what it does is it allows you to have nice kind of chats at the post office or in the line, in the queue, at the coffee shop. But it maybe doesn't have you connect with a part of you that actually wants to have a romantic and sexual attraction with someone, right? That in a sense, your friendliness is keeping people out of that channel of reality with you. So you may end up with a lot of friendliness, but you don't end up with a lot of dating prospects, right? Do you see the difference there? And in dating, if a guy is going to be drawn towards you and not want to have you as either just a friendly person he occasionally bumps into the coffee shop or someone who's more permanently in the friend zone, it might be helpful if he can connect with the part of you that is the sexual instinct in any of us, which is to do with, in part, being attractive and being attracted. Now, I'm not saying in being attractive you have to do any particular thing in order to be attractive. I'm just saying that instinct, perhaps for good reasons, perhaps to do with things based on your past, or perhaps to do with the modeling that you got from upbringing, or perhaps from instances where that instinct was running too much and you decided unconsciously or consciously to shut it down. There might be good things to explore there, but I'm saying the lack of connection with that instinct may mean that it's less likely for someone to meet you in that space. So it's just something to get curious about. Anytime that we have a dominant way of showing up with people, so in this instance it would be friendliness, there are others. It can be useful just to get curious, is that the truest expression of me now? And what is limiting when I show up in that persona, right? So if I show up as friendly, maybe I'm limiting the part of me that's badass. Maybe I'm limiting the part of me that's provocative. Maybe I'm limiting the part of me that is rebellious or wild or contrarian. Maybe I'm limiting the part of me that is seductive or playful. Maybe I'm limiting the part of me that is dry or sarcastic. Just run the inquiry, right? You'll know better than I will. It's a useful way for you to notice, is there a way of showing up that actually, I like that I've got it, but I want to treat it more like the hat, right? I wear this hat, but I don't believe that it's me. I can take it off, I can put it back on. You can take the friendliness, you can put it back on. There might be a situation where you absolutely want to deploy your friendliness. You're going into unknown territory or hostile territory, or you just know that it's the quickest way to build a bridge and start to get to know someone. But when it comes to your dating, or even just meeting someone in line, where actually, if you're honest with yourself, you don't just want a friendly engagement, you actually want someone to say, oh, I'm interested in her. I'm going to invite you to put that persona down and try and practice a different one. And the most direct way to that is often to practice the inverse one, right? So if you're used to being friendly, what is it like for you to be moody or withdrawn or piercing, or you pick something that might fit for you. You may have no idea yet how to do it. You don't need to know the how. You just need to have the desire. Get out there and practice. Let life improve along the way with you. So the fourth reason that you might still be single is that you've never honestly prioritized this area of your life. Right now, this is tricky because I tend to call this, it's a little bit of a fancy phrase, I call it the intractable domain, right? That there's a domain for most of us, and sometimes there's more of one in life that it's hard to get traction, right? It's intractable. It's hard for us to get traction in it. And it might be that dating and relating is that area of life for you. And you might say, look, I've tried everything, you know? I've been on the dating apps. I've had friends set me up for dates. I've gone to, places or communities where my main aim was really to meet people that I could see if someone might be interested in dating. I've tried a lot, and this isn't just this year, it's over multiple years. So first out of the gate, I want to acknowledge you might have put a ton of energy and effort out there, and it's hard in any area of our lives to put a ton of effort and energy and not get results, right? If you really just sit into that, even if I just in the moment feel into that, like, it can be heartbreaking to keep showing up and keep trying and keep, trying to put on your best face and your best foot forward and make the effort. You get the match, you get the outfit, you do the thing, you just feel like you're going round and round and round. So I want to acknowledge you may have been putting a lot of effort into this. It may still be, however, that there is a kind of priority that this has always sat beneath other areas of your life, right? That when the chips are down, your priority will always go to perhaps helping your friends, right? Or maybe taking care of other people. Or perhaps it always just goes to your career, right? So you're regularly willing to blow a date off if a big deadline's coming up at work. Now, these can be difficult discernments, right? So again, no criticism in this. It's just inviting you to notice. Sometimes if a thing is so intractable, it's like the amount of effort and energy it might need to kind of crack the nut. It might be that it just has to sit at your highest priority, and that part of you is perhaps scared of making it the highest priority because you don't know how to deprioritize attention on other things, or because if you made it that higher priority and you still didn't get results, it would be even more heartbreaking, right? So there is some risk involved in following this line of inquiry. I also think there's some risk involved in not doing it, right? Meaning, maybe it's better to have made something a priority and to at least find out, is it possible, or is something else possible, right? When you make it such a priority, which might mean that you devote the first hour of every day to this, right? The first hour of every day, you are going online and you're dating, you are improving your profile, you are perhaps reaching out to friends, you're asking them about their dating experiences, you're reaching out to friends, you're asking them, is there anyone you've met? You're reaching out to friends and you're saying, hey, here's what I'm looking for, can you give me some feedback? Perhaps you're reaching out to people you've been on dates with and asking them for honest feedback. I think this is, not everyone has to say yes to that, but I think this is an underused resource in the dating world, right? Because sometimes people that you have gone on dates with, the sum of what they're noticing may have an important line of inquiry for you, right? If a lot of people are saying, hey, well, I just, I struggled to feel like I was connecting with the real you, right? That might be hard to hear. You might have no idea if it's true or even how you would do something about it, but you don't need to know that right now. When we talk about directions of inquiry, it's often just glimmers. I sometimes use the expression, it's a bit like kind of, fumbling in the dark. Because you might hear something, you might, well, what do they mean, the real me? I'm me, I'm showing up, right? Or maybe you get some collective feedback that they got the sense you weren't even that interested, right? Maybe you act very indifferent and you're standoffish, right? Maybe you haven't been on enough dates, or you're not even connected with those people, and you wouldn't ask them for feedback, but maybe you can ask some of your male friends. Maybe you could ask even during a date, at the end of the date. You might even just throw in there, look, totally honest, you don't have to BS me at all. What has this been like for you, right? I'm trying to figure this dating thing out. What has this been like for you? Now, you may or may not get an honest or insightful answer, but do you see what I mean? You're starting to up your level of curiosity and inquiry so that this is a living inquiry in your life, day in, day out. It might be that you're willing to say, you know what, I'm plenty set with my life financially right now in my career. I'm actually willing to take a sabbatical, and during that sabbatical I'm really going to explore what it means for me to invite more love into my life. And you've never done that, and you wouldn't do that because actually you're prioritizing a sense of security over your dating life. Now, that could be an authentic choice, but it might be worth examining, right? If actually you've got plenty of security that you've built up over time, but the thing that you've never done is really take yourself away and immerse yourself in the question of, what could be some deeper patterns in my life that might be impacting how I'm dating? This could be an amazing opportunity. Now, by the way, I wasn't even thinking of this, but if that is your situation, I'm going to leave a link beneath this video. You might want to consider to come on my Eat, Stay, Love retreat, because we're going to be exploring this stuff in an immersive environment in beautiful Italy in April. So if you want more information about that, just click that first link beneath this video. But whatever you do decide to do, find a way to actually make this a kind of priority where it's so important to you that you might say, yeah, I'm actually willing to go and not get paid for 2 weeks because I'm going to take some time to really look into this, right? Or instead of doing my usual holiday where I kind of, I don't know, I go and have fun on the beach, but it doesn't really change my life, I'm going to take those 2 weeks of vacation and I'm actually going to go and do a personal retreat, or join us on retreat, or do something that is different but is focused on this, that actually says, you know what, this is the highest priority thing in my life. Now, life may not respond to you immediately, but if you do that over months and into years, right? So this is the level of dedication sometimes we might want to the intractable domain, because it's here to teach us stuff and it has leverage over us, right? That's the beauty of the intractable domain, is it keeps getting your attention. It has your attention because you want to date, you want a relationship, and until that happens, it's going to continue to get your attention. So why not let's take that attention and actually invest in it in a productive and concentrated fashion. The fifth reason that you may still be single is that you haven't fully embraced the mystery of life. And I don't mean this to confuse you. I just mean to say it's easy for us, I think, to in the modern and postmodern world, sort of imagine that every one of us has a right to all number of things, right? And maybe in an ideal world we do, but maybe in the process of where we are in this kind of evolutionary moment, not all of us are going to have everything in our life all the time, right? You won't always necessarily have your best health, right? And maybe you've already had super frank evidence of that, right? And maybe you won't always be in relationship. Maybe you won't always know why you've got an issue with your health, or you're not able to get into a relationship, right? Or why your career has been up, or why your career has been down. So often we want to, in our rational mind, we want to know, well, the reason I'm not in a relationship is this, right? And I want to be able to put my finger on it. And oftentimes people have that in the background, right? So I can get on the phone and talk to someone as a prospective client if they're interested in coaching with me, and they might tell me very quickly, well, I know the reason I'm single, it's because I have abandonment issues. Now, that may be a absolute partial truth, right? It may be some percentage of the explanation, but the way that it's communicated is as if it's the sort of the only and concretized truth in town, right? That's all I need to know about this, is I have abandonment issues, right? Now, I'm not making light of abandonment issues. They could be the most painful thing that you will ever experience in your life. But the question is it waking you up? Is your saying that and living in that perspective waking you up to know everything that you can need to know, right? Just imagine that you were an export and transport back in the day, and we invented the railways, the train, and you thought that was everything ever to need to know about transport, right? Meanwhile, in the not too distant future, as you've been seeing coming in the background, we're going to invent the airplane, and it's going to significantly impact our needs to haul everything on the railroads, right? So there's always new information and new technology and things that can come in if we can stay open to it. So part of you being in the mystery It's not saying that you don't, you don't deserve a life that is, full and rich and nourishing and has relationship and has the things that you want. It's just also not being attached to it. It's also being willing to notice, there are some things in life that are beyond my understanding at this moment in time. I hope, and I stay open to understanding them, but maybe I'll never quite get, an A equals B kind of explanation. Maybe it's a multivariate thing, right? Fancy phrase, just means there's multiple variables. Maybe if we dialed up your ability to be more in your feminine, right? And we combined it with making you go on twice as many dates, and we gave you the first hour of the day had to be to do with dating, and we increased 10x the amount of opportunities that you got for feedback from people about how you show up in the world, right? And maybe you went on an immersive experience that really retreated you from your life and allowed you just to show up and focus on what's most important with you. Maybe with all those things, we'd start to get traction on this issue. But if we only did one of them, maybe if we only did two of them, we might not get the same traction, right? So sometimes life is, it's a series of 1 and 5 and 10% improvements, but if we start to multiply them together, we can also be in a very different situation, right? So part of being in the mystery is also not unconsciously being in a silver bullet orientation to reality, right? I'm just waiting for the one thing that changes everything. Sometimes one thing does change everything. Oftentimes, it's not just one thing, it's multiple things that happen in a non-linear series of events, and you need to bring all of them together for it actually to make a difference, right? If you're going to have an airplane, you can't just have one wing, right? You need both wings, but you can't just have both wings without, ideally two engines, right? But you can't just have the two engines if you haven't got the nose, right? If you haven't got the software, if you haven't got the whole thing needs to be put together in order for the result to happen. So sometimes part of the mystery is also cultivating the patience to stay at it long enough with an attitude of, let's just see, and keep doing that and keep showing up, perhaps to a level and extent that feels absolutely unbelievable to you. But sometimes it takes that to create traction in a domain that hasn't had traction for you, right? Or it takes you letting go of it so fully that you're okay that it doesn't change. But most of the time, if it keeps coming back to you, it's because there is an authentic desire for change. There is an authentic desire for something different. And you may have had to dig deeper into this territory than you ever thought possible. And I know it can be really hard because it might take more time, more money, more energy than you in this moment want to give it. But maybe what it ultimately gives you back is also worth the energy investment. So those are my 5 reasons that you're still single. Click the link if you want to check out the retreat. I'd love to have you as part of the group if it's a good fit. It doesn't cost you anything to apply. We can explore if it's a good fit for you. I'll also put in my free resource, which is the guy's checklist, 9 steps that you can run any guy through. Lets you understand if a guy is showing up for a connection with you. And I just want to leave you with, with a prayer. I hope that your authentic desire in the fullness of time, in right timing and in right season, is fulfilled. And I wish you the fortitude and capacity to be with and accept what is in your life right now and give it the fullest appreciation that you can. I'm Jack. Thanks for being here.